Beneath the ocean, human scientists found a spaceship. What they revealed shook the world. Part 1. The silent signal. The research vessel drifted on the cold, gray waters of the North Pacific. The sky above was wide and empty, and the ocean looked endless. The ship moved slowly over a deep trench that cut through the seafloor like a scar. Most people in the world did not even know this place existed. It was too deep for sunlight, too cold for comfort, and too far from land to matter to anyone but scientists. Doctor Ethan Brooks stood near the railing, holding a tablet in his hands. He was tall, with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had spent most of his life studying the ocean. He believed that the sea still held secrets older than human history. But even he did not expect to find something that would change the world. Behind him, inside the control room, Dr. Laura Mitchell stared at a large screen filled with maps and moving lines of data. She was not a marine scientist like Ethan. She studied space, stars, and distant galaxies. She had joined this mission only because a strange signal had been detected weeks earlier, something that did not match any known ocean pattern. Hannah Price, the data analyst, sat at a desk surrounded by monitors. Her fingers moved quickly over a keyboard. She was quiet but sharp, able to see patterns in noise that others missed. Jake Morris, the chief engineer, leaned back in his chair, drinking cold coffee. Commander Ryan Cole from the Navy stood near the doorway, watching everything with calm eyes. He was there to make sure the mission stayed secure. The ship's sonar system sent sound waves down into the trench. The signals bounced back and formed images on the screens. Most of the time, the shapes were normal, rocks, slopes, small ridges, but today was different. Hannah froze. "Ethan," she said softly, "you need to see this." Ethan stepped inside and looked at her screen. At first, he saw only a dark shape under layers of sediment. Then he noticed the edges. They were straight, too straight. "That can't be natural," he said. Laura walked closer. "Zoom in." Hannah adjusted the image. The shape became clearer. It was long and smooth, like a massive metal shell buried in stone. Its surface reflected the sonar in a strange way. Jake leaned forward. "Could be a lost submarine." Ryan shook his head. "No record of any sub this size going missing here." The room grew quiet. The trench beneath them was almost 6 miles deep. No ordinary ship could survive that pressure without special design. "Run another scan," Ethan said. The sonar sent out another wave. This time something else appeared. A faint pulse. A rhythm, beep, pause, beep, pause. Laura's eyes widened. "That's not random." Hannah pulled up the audio pattern and played it through the speakers. The sound was low and steady, like a heartbeat. Jake frowned. "It's coming from the object." "Yes," Hannah replied. "Same location." Ethan felt a chill move through him. The ocean was supposed to be silent at that depth. No machines. No life that could send signals like this. "It could be some unknown geological effect," he said, though he did not believe his own words. Laura shook her head slowly. "Geology doesn't pulse in perfect rhythm." The signal continued, calm, steady, almost patient. Ryan stepped closer. "If this is human-made, we need to report it immediately." Ethan nodded. "We will, but first we confirm." He turned to Jake. "Prepare the deep drone." Jake stood at once. "On it." The drone was their most advanced submersible robot. It could survive the crushing pressure of the trench. It had cameras, lights, and small robotic arms. It was their eyes in the deep. Within an hour, the drone was lowered into the ocean. The crew watched from the control room as it sank. The water outside the camera shifted from blue to dark gray, then to black. Small particles floated past like snow. The depth meter climbed steadily. 1 mile, 2 miles, 3. The signal grew slightly stronger. Hannah adjusted the speakers. The pulse filled the room again. Beep, pause, beep. "It's almost like it knows we're here," Jake said quietly. No one answered him. At 5 miles deep, the drone's lights switched on fully. The seafloor appeared at last, flat and covered in thick sediment. The trench wall rose in the distance like a cliff in the night. "There," Laura whispered. The shape emerged from the darkness. It was huge, larger than any submarine ever built. Most of it was buried, but enough showed to reveal a curved hull. The surface looked smooth and dark, but not rusted. It did not look old in the way sunken ships looked old. There were no broken parts, no damage visible from this angle. Jake guided the drone closer. The pulse became louder. Beep, pause. As the drone's lights moved across the hull, faint lines appeared. Symbols, they glowed softly blue when touched by the light. Hannah stared at the screen. "Those are not scratches." The symbols formed patterns, repeating shapes. Circles within lines, small marks arranged in careful order. Laura's breathing slowed. "That's writing." Ethan felt his heart pound. "Human?" "No," she said. The drone drifted along the surface. The hull had no visible doors or windows. It was seamless, almost grown rather than built. Jake cleared his throat. "I'm picking up increased energy readings." "From the pulse?" Ryan asked. "Yes." The drone moved closer to a section where the symbols were brightest. Suddenly, the pulse changed. Beep, beep. Pause. Beep, beep. Hannah's eyes widened. "It changed pattern." "Why?" Ethan asked. Jake swallowed. "Because we got closer." The lights flickered slightly as a wave of energy passed over the drone. The cameras shook for a moment but stabilized. "It scanned us," Laura said softly. The idea hung in the air. Ryan spoke into his radio, sending a secure message to Naval Command. His voice was calm, but his grip on the device was tight. Ethan stepped closer to the main screen. He felt small compared to the object below. Humanity had explored the surface of Mars. They had sent probes beyond the solar system. Yet here, beneath their own ocean, something unknown had been waiting. "Circle around it," he told Jake. The drone moved along the length of the hull. As it reached the front section, the sediment was thinner. More of the craft was visible. Its nose was sharp but smooth, pointed slightly upward as if it had crashed nose first into the seabed long ago. "Damage?" Ethan asked. Jake zoomed in. There were cracks near the front, but they looked sealed, almost healed. Laura leaned closer. "It's not broken, it repaired itself." The idea made Hannah shiver. The drone continued scanning. Then, without warning, a section of the hull lit up brighter than the rest. A long line traced itself across the surface. Jake pulled back instinctively. That wasn't there before. The line widened. Sediment slid away as if pushed by invisible force. A shape formed, an outline. "A door," Laura whispered. No one spoke for several seconds. The pulse stopped. Complete silence filled the control room. "Why did it stop?" Hannah asked. Before anyone could answer, a new sound came through the speakers. Not a beep this time, a steady tone. The drone's instruments flickered again. Energy readings spiked higher than before. "It's powering up," Jake said. Ryan's voice was steady but firm. "Pull the drone back, slowly." Jake guided it away from the glowing section. The light dimmed slightly but did not disappear. On the screen, the door-like outline remained. Ethan felt both fear and wonder. "It responded to us," Laura nodded. "It was dormant. We woke it up." The idea that this object had been sleeping under the ocean for thousands, maybe millions, of years made the moment feel unreal. Hannah quickly recorded every piece of data. "This signal pattern," she said, "it's structured. I think it's mathematical." Laura turned to her. "Show me." Numbers appeared on the screen as Hannah translated the pulse into intervals. "2 short, 1 long," Hannah said. "Then 3 short, 1 long. These are prime numbers." Ethan stared at the pattern. "That's not natural." "No," Laura agreed. "That's intelligent." The room fell silent again. The only sound was the soft hum of machines. Far above them, the ocean looked calm and empty. No one on land knew what was happening below. Ryan's radio crackled. Naval Command had received his message. Orders were coming. "We are to hold position," he said. "No further contact until federal authorities arrive." Jake looked disappointed. "We're just going to leave it there." For now, Ryan replied. Ethan kept his eyes on the screen. The glowing symbols still shone faintly. The door outline was still visible. It waited this long, he said quietly. It can wait a little longer. Laura crossed her arms, thinking deeply. Or maybe it can't. He looked at her. What do you mean? The signal changed when we got close. The door formed when we scanned it. It might not just be waiting, it might be testing. Testing what? Hannah asked. Laura met Ethan's gaze. Us. The weight of her words pressed on everyone. Outside, the sun began to set, painting the ocean in soft orange light. The world above remained unaware that beneath miles of dark water, something ancient and powerful had awakened. On the screen, deep in the trench, the strange craft pulsed once more. Beep. As if reminding them that it was still there, watching. The news did not reach the public. Within hours of the discovery, secure messages moved between military bases and government offices across the United States. Satellites shifted position over the North Pacific. Naval ships changed course without public explanation. What had been a simple research mission became a classified operation. The research vessel was no longer alone. 2 gray Navy destroyers arrived before sunrise. A larger command ship followed behind them. Helicopters circled overhead. The ocean that had once seemed empty now felt guarded and tense. Dr. Ethan Brooks stood on the deck and watched the ships take position around them. He understood the need for security, but it still felt strange. Just yesterday, he had been a scientist mapping the ocean floor. Now he was at the center of something much bigger. Inside the control room, Laura Mitchell and Hannah Price studied the recorded signal again. They had barely slept. The pulse pattern repeated in their minds like a song they could not forget. It's clear, Hannah said, pointing at the screen. These are prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7. Laura nodded. Prime numbers are basic math. Any intelligent life would know them. Do you think it's a greeting? Hannah asked. Or a test? Laura replied. Jake Morris entered the room carrying a fresh set of energy readings from the drone. The power levels down there are stable, he said. Whatever it did last night, it's not increasing anymore. Commander Ryan Cole followed him. Washington wants a full report in 1 hour. They're sending more people. Ethan walked in and closed the door behind him. More scientists? Ryan hesitated. Scientists, military advisors, intelligence officers. The meaning was clear. The discovery was no longer just science. Ethan turned to Laura. What's your opinion? She took a slow breath. It's not human, that's certain. Ryan looked at her carefully. Be sure before you say that to the president. I am sure, she replied. No known human material could survive that pressure for so long without corrosion, and no secret program builds something that size and then loses it. Jake added, the metal doesn't match any alloy in our database. Silence filled the room for a moment. Hannah broke it. It's been there a long time. The sediment layers suggest thousands of years. Maybe longer, Ethan said quietly. Ryan's radio buzzed. He stepped aside to answer it. After a short conversation, he returned. The president has been informed, he said. President Daniel Harper wants updates every 6 hours. Ethan felt the weight of that. The leader of the country now waited for his data. What are our orders? Jake asked. We are allowed 1 more drone descent, Ryan said. No physical contact, only observation. Laura exchanged a look with Ethan. That might not be enough. An hour later, the drone descended again into the dark trench. The control room was more crowded now. 2 officials from Washington had arrived by helicopter. They did not speak much. They only watched. The drone reached the seafloor. The alien craft waited, half-buried and silent. The glowing symbols were dimmer now but still visible. Signal check, Ethan said. Hannah adjusted the audio feed. Beep, pause, beep, pause. It's back to the original pattern, she said. Jake guided the drone closer to the area where the door outline had appeared. As the lights moved across the hull, the symbols brightened again. It reacts to light, one of the officials whispered. No, Laura said softly. It reacts to attention. The drone stopped a few feet from the surface. Its cameras zoomed in on the symbols. They were not random shapes. Each line and curve was precise. Hannah captured high-resolution images and began running pattern analysis. Then something changed. The pulse grew faster. Beep, beep. Pause, beep, beep. It's responding again, Jake said. Without warning, the line that formed the door outline lit up brightly. Sediment slid away as if pushed by invisible hands. The officials stepped closer to the screen. The line widened. A section of the hull began to shift inward. No sound came through the speakers, but the movement was clear. "It's opening," Hannah whispered. The door separated fully, revealing darkness inside. The drone's cameras adjusted to low light. Inside the opening was a smooth corridor. The walls glowed faint white as if the material itself produced light. The energy reading spiked higher than before. Ryan spoke firmly. "Maintain distance." Jake kept the drone outside the entrance. Laura leaned forward. "Zoom in." The drone focused on the interior. The corridor extended beyond the camera's range. The surfaces were curved and seamless like the outer hull. "No visible damage," Ethan said. "No corrosion." "It's intact," Laura replied. The pulse stopped again. In its place came a new signal, a series of tones in clear order. Hannah quickly recorded them. "This is different," she said. "It's more complex." Laura's mind raced. "It might be trying to communicate." "Or lure us," one of the officials muttered. Ethan ignored that. He could not look away from the open doorway. "Back up slowly," Ryan ordered. Jake moved the drone away from the entrance. The door did not close. Instead, a soft light began to move along the corridor floor, traveling toward the entrance like a glowing wave. When it reached the opening, it stopped. Then the light projected outward into the water. The drone's cameras struggled to adjust. A shape formed in front of the entrance. A three-dimensional image made of light. Everyone in the room froze. The image showed a cluster of stars. Laura stepped closer, her voice shaking slightly. "That's a star map." The projection shifted. One star system brightened. Hannah zoomed in. "That's our sun." The image moved again. A small blue sphere appeared orbiting the sun. "Earth," Ethan whispered. The projection held steady for several seconds. "It knows where it is," Jake said quietly. The officials exchanged uneasy looks. The image changed once more. The blue sphere flashed, then a series of symbols appeared beside it. The same glowing script from the hull. "It's labeling us," Hannah said. Laura's mind worked quickly. "Or identifying us." The star map zoomed out, showing a wider section of the galaxy. A distant point blinked on the far edge of the projection. "That might be its origin," Laura said. The light flickered, then dimmed. The projection faded. The doorway remained open. The pulse did not return. In the control room, no one spoke for a long time. Finally, one of the officials cleared his throat. "This footage is classified at the highest level." Ethan turned to him. "That thing down there just showed us our planet." "Yes," the man replied. "And until we understand its purpose, the public does not need to know." Laura felt a mix of anger and fear. The world has a right to know we are not alone. "And the world might panic," the official said calmly. Ryan stepped between them. "Focus on the data, emotions later." Hannah replayed the star projection. "It wasn't random. It showed Earth clearly. That means it came here on purpose." "Or it was sent here," Jake said. Ethan looked back at the screen. The open doorway seemed almost inviting. "It opened when we approached," he said slowly. "It showed us where we are. That feels like an introduction." Laura nodded. "Like it's saying, we know you." A quiet tension filled the room. Ryan's radio buzzed again. He listened, then looked at Ethan. "Orders have changed," he said. "We are authorized to send a manned sub." Jake's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Yes, 2 people, minimal contact, no entry into the craft." Ethan felt his heart race. "Who goes down?" Ryan looked at him. "You are the mission lead." Laura stepped forward. And I'm the only astrophysicist here. If it projects more data, I need to see it directly." The official hesitated. "It's risky." Ethan met his gaze. "So is ignoring it." Hours later, a small, reinforced submersible prepared for descent. Ethan and Laura climbed inside. The hatch sealed with a heavy sound. Jake's voice came through the comm system. "Systems are green," Hannah added. "Signal from the object is steady." Ryan stood on deck, watching as the sub lowered into the sea. Inside the cramped vessel, Ethan checked the controls while Laura studied the live feed from their external cameras. The water darkened as they descended. The pressure outside increased with every meter. "Still think this is a greeting?" Ethan asked quietly. Laura looked at him. "I don't know, but it's not an attack, not yet." They reached the seafloor. The alien craft stood before them, its doorway open, light spilling into the dark water. Up on the surface, the entire command center watched in silence. "Approaching entrance," Ethan said into the comm. The sub moved forward slowly. As they came within a few feet of the doorway, the interior lights brightened. The corridor inside glowed stronger than before. Then from deep within the ship a new light appeared. It moved toward them, steady, calm, waiting. The small sub hovered just outside the open doorway. Dr. Ethan Brooks kept his hands steady on the controls. "Doctor." Laura Mitchell leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the glowing corridor inside the alien craft. The light that had appeared deep within the ship was moving closer. It did not rush. It did not flicker. It moved with calm purpose. On the surface, inside the command ship, Commander Ryan Cole stood beside Hannah Price and Jake Morris. Several federal officials and military officers filled the room behind them. No one spoke loudly. Every voice was low and careful. "Distance?" Ryan asked. 3 meters from the entrance," Jake replied, reading the data. "Energy levels?" one official asked. "High but stable," Hannah said. "No sign of a weapon system." The moving light inside the corridor reached the entrance and stopped. It hovered just beyond the doorway, shining directly toward the sub. Inside the sub, Laura swallowed. "It's looking at us." Ethan nodded. "Or scanning us." A soft vibration moved through the sub's hull. It was not violent. It felt like a wave passing through water. "I'm reading a focused energy field," Laura said, checking her instruments. "It's directed at us." "Any damage?" Ryan's voice came through the speaker. "None," Ethan answered. "It feels like a scan." The light grew brighter. For a moment, the cameras outside the sub went white. Then the light changed shape. Instead of a simple glow, it formed a flat plane in front of the doorway. Symbols appeared across it, bright and clear. The same symbols that covered the hull. Back on the command ship, Hannah leaned closer to her screen. "It's projecting again." The symbols began to shift. They rearranged themselves into lines and blocks. Then the blocks turned into numbers. Laura's breath caught. "It's translating." Prime numbers appeared first. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Then simple math equations followed. 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 3 equals 5. The symbols changed again. A diagram appeared. It showed the structure of a hydrogen atom. Hannah spoke quickly. "It's building a shared language, starting with math, then physics." Ethan stared at the projection in front of the sub. "It wants us to understand." The diagram shifted once more. Now it showed a spiral galaxy. One arm of the spiral glowed brighter. Laura's heart raced. "That's the Milky Way." A small point lit up within the spiral. Then lines traced a path from that point to another far across the galaxy. "It's showing a journey," she said. On the surface, the officials exchanged tense looks. "Is it telling us where it came from?" one asked. "Possibly," Hannah replied. The projection changed again. The glowing path ended at a star system far from Earth. Then a new image appeared. It showed a planet, not Earth. This world had 3 moons and thick cloud bands. Cities covered its surface. Tall structures rose into the sky. Ethan felt a chill. "That's them." Laura nodded slowly. "Or where they lived." The image shifted. The cities grew brighter, then darker. Smoke rose from several areas. Flashes of light appeared across the planet. "Is that war?" Jake asked softly from the control room. The flashes grew larger. Sections of the planet turned dark. The clouds thickened. The surface changed color. Laura's voice was quiet. "They destroyed themselves." The projection zoomed out. The planet dimmed completely. Then the image cut to a fleet of ships leaving the system, smaller than the one beneath the ocean but similar in shape. "Probes," Hannah said. "They sent out ships." The image focused on one of those ships. It traveled through space. Years passed in seconds. Stars moved around it. Finally, it approached Earth. The projection ended. Silence filled both the sub and the command room. Ethan felt the weight of what they had seen. "They were dying," he said quietly, "and they sent this here." Laura's eyes stayed on the glowing plane, not to attack, to preserve something. The symbols shifted again. This time, a new sequence appeared. It showed the alien planet divided into sections. Each section was marked with different symbols. The symbols clashed against each other. Lines formed between them, then broke. "It's showing division," Hannah said, "groups against groups." The image changed to Earth. Continents appeared. Borders lit up between countries. Military icons flashed in several places. The officials stiffened. The projection zoomed in on areas of conflict across the globe. Then it displayed a rising line graph beside them. "What does that mean?" Ryan asked. Hannah typed quickly. "It looks like probability." "Risk increase." The symbols shifted one more time. Now the projection showed the alien ship beneath the ocean. Above it appeared a symbol that pulsed in red. Laura felt her stomach tighten. "That's a warning." The red symbol split into two possible paths. One path glowed green. The other glowed red. On the green path, Earth was shown united. Borders faded. Military icons disappeared. The line graph dropped. On the red path, conflict icons multiplied. The line graph spiked. Then the image showed Earth darkened, much like the alien home world had before. "They're giving us a choice," Ethan said. "Or a test," Laura replied. The red and green paths remained on the glowing plane. Then a final set of symbols appeared beneath them. Hannah stared at the screen, translating slowly. "Conditional release," she said. "Archive access based on cooperative stability." "Speak clearly," one official demanded. "It means," Hannah continued, "they won't give us their knowledge unless we reduce global conflict." Inside the sub, the light began to pulse in rhythm with the symbols. Ethan took a slow breath. "They're not here to rule us." "No," Laura said. "They're here to see if we make the same mistake." The sub's instruments beeped softly. The energy field around them remained stable. Ryan spoke into the comm. "We need confirmation." "Is there any sign of hostile intent?" Laura checked her readings again. "No weapons charging. No targeting systems. This is communication." The officials stepped aside and began speaking quietly among themselves. One of them finally addressed Ryan. "If this becomes public, it could cause panic, or worse, political chaos." Ryan nodded but kept his eyes on the screen. The projection changed again. Now it showed a large structure inside the alien ship, a central chamber with a crystalline core at its center. The core glowed faint blue. Beside it appeared another symbol. Hannah translated carefully. "Knowledge Archive." The crystal brightened in the image. Streams of data flowed from it like rivers of light. "It contains their science," Laura said. "Their history, everything." "But it's locked," Ethan added. The red and green paths returned to the screen. The light pulsed stronger. Back on the surface, alarms suddenly sounded. "What is it?" Ryan asked. Jake's hands moved over the console. "Multiple naval fleets are changing course toward our location." "From where?" an official demanded. "Several countries," Jake answered. "They must have detected unusual activity." Hannah looked pale. "The world is noticing." The projection inside the trench flickered slightly. The red path glowed brighter. Ethan saw it through the sub's viewport. "It's reacting to global tension." Laura nodded. "It's monitoring us in real time." On the surface, Ryan received another message through secure channel. He listened, then spoke calmly. President Daniel Harper is requesting immediate global communication. He wants to address the United Nations. One official protested. That will confirm everything. Yes, Ryan said, and it might be the only way to calm the situation. Far above the ocean, news networks began to report unusual naval movements in the Pacific. Social media filled with rumors. Some guessed a military drill. Others feared a secret conflict. Inside the trench, the alien projection dimmed slightly. The red path pulsed stronger than the green. Ethan felt fear for the first time. Not fear of the ship, but fear of humanity. If they think we're failing, he said, what happens? As if in answer, the projection changed. The alien ship was shown again. A timer symbol appeared beside it. The numbers began to count down. Laura's voice shook. Self-destruct. The red path brightened. On the surface, Ryan spoke firmly into his radio. We need de-escalation now. Every fleet must stand down. Messages moved quickly across governments. In Washington, President Harper appeared before the United Nations in an emergency session. He presented selected footage of the alien projection. He did not show everything, but enough to prove the truth. He spoke of unity, of shared survival, of a test not from an enemy but from history itself. Around the world, leaders responded, some with fear, some with anger, but most with understanding. Within hours, several fleets slowed their advance. Official statements called for calm cooperation. Back in the trench, the projection shifted. The red glow faded slightly. The green path brightened. The countdown slowed. In the sub, Ethan and Laura watched in silence. It's watching us choose, Laura said. Yes, Ethan replied. And for the first time, we know someone is judging. The light in front of them steadied. The red path dimmed further. The green path held strong. The timer stopped. The projection faded into soft white light. Inside the alien ship, deeper in the corridor, the crystalline core began to glow brighter than before. On the surface, Hannah gasped. The archive is activating. Ethan stared at the glowing chamber beyond the doorway. Humanity had not failed. Not yet, but the test was not over. It had only just begun. The alien ship beneath the ocean was quiet now, yet it hummed with energy. The corridor that had once been dark now glowed faint white. The crystalline core deep inside the vessel pulsed softly, sending gentle waves of light through the metal walls. Every sensor in the sub detected the change, but none of it was dangerous. Instead, the energy felt alive, like the ship itself had awakened and was satisfied. Inside the submersible, Dr. Ethan Brooks and Dr. Laura Mitchell watched the glow from the viewport. Neither of them spoke at first. They were both trying to process everything they had seen. The projection of the alien history, the warnings, the test, it was more than any human had ever experienced. And now the reward seemed close. The archive is online, Laura whispered. She checked her instruments again. The energy is flowing. The ship is transferring data. Ethan's eyes were wide. We don't even know what it contains yet. Laura smiled faintly. We'll find out soon. On the surface, the command center was alive with activity. Hannah Price and Jake Morris monitored the signals from the ship. Every few seconds, new data appeared on their screens. Complex diagrams, glowing symbols, and lines of code streamed past so quickly that only the most advanced translation programs could keep up. This is incredible, Jake said, his voice shaking. The energy readings alone could revolutionize power systems. Hannah nodded. And the messages, they're teaching us their science step by step. Commander Ryan Cole, standing nearby, frowned. Are we ready for this? For what happens when it's fully revealed? Ethan and Laura's voices came over the comm. We have to be, Ethan said. We've come this far. Humanity has to take it. Inside the trench, the crystalline core glowed brighter. Streams of light extended from it like fingers, flowing through the ship, into the sub and up to the surface vessel. The transfer was not just data, it was knowledge. not just information but understanding. Laura's instruments began translating patterns of energy into usable concepts. Fusion power, faster-than-light theories, new medical techniques. Every breakthrough was explained in simple steps. The alien creators had designed it so that humans could understand it, but only if they were willing to work together. Ethan felt a thrill he had never known. "Look at this," he said. "Clean energy solutions that could end fossil fuel use entirely." Laura's eyes were on the display, and cures for diseases we thought were impossible to treat. Hannah translated quickly. "And new materials stronger than anything we've made. Structural designs, propulsion systems. This could change space travel completely." One of the federal officials leaned closer. "Are we safe sharing this with the world?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. The knowledge is powerful, but humans still need guidance. This is why the ship tested us," Ryan spoke. "So far, humanity passed the first step. We cooperated under pressure." The officials looked uncertain. The world above the trench was still tense. Political leaders were cooperating slowly, but there were still disagreements. And yet the alien ship seemed satisfied. Inside the sub, Laura turned to Ethan. "It's not just science, it's history. They showed us what happened to them." "Yes," Ethan said quietly. "A civilization destroyed itself through division. They sent this here to prevent the same fate for us." On the surface, Hannah spoke into her headset. "The archive is sending the final set of data. Historical records, ethics guidelines, and societal models are included." Jake's eyes widened. "They're giving us everything we need to avoid war," Ryan nodded. "But only if humanity continues to work together. That's the test." For days, the sub remained near the doorway, collecting data. Teams of scientists, engineers, and translators worked tirelessly. New solutions appeared almost daily. Energy systems began converting experimental designs into workable prototypes. Medical research accelerated. Even the language and mathematics used in the alien archive inspired new ways to teach children across the world. At the research center, Ethan and Laura were exhausted but determined. They worked side by side with Hannah and Jake, translating, testing, and experimenting. Every breakthrough felt like a step towards survival, not just advancement. One evening, as the sun set over the calm ocean, Ethan leaned back and looked out over the water. The surface appeared peaceful, but he knew the world above was changing. Conflicts were slowly easing. Leaders had begun cooperation talks inspired by the alien test. Laura joined him. "Do you think the world is ready for this?" she asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "We don't get to decide, but we passed the first step. The ship seems satisfied. That means hope is possible." Deep in the trench, the crystalline core pulsed one last time. Streams of light reached every corner of the ship, then slowly faded. The alien vessel powered down. It had completed its purpose. The doorway remained open, but the interior was silent. The ship had given humanity the knowledge and guidance it promised. The decision now rested with humans themselves. Weeks later, a permanent research station was established above the trench. Engineers, scientists, and international observers lived and worked there. Jake oversaw construction and energy management. Hannah led translation and communication. Laura headed astrophysical studies. Ethan coordinated scientific operations and public engagement. Commander Ryan Cole maintained security and international coordination. Global energy systems began shifting to clean fusion power. New materials allowed the construction of safer, stronger buildings. Diseases previously thought untreatable were showing early signs of eradication. Space programs developed faster-than-light theories into practical experiments. Humanity was changing, learning to work together not out of fear, but for survival and progress. In classrooms, children learned about math, science, and ethics using the alien systems. They understood cooperation, communication, and the consequences of conflict in ways previous generations could not imagine. One evening, Ethan stood at the edge of the research station, looking at the deep ocean below. He thought of the ship and the alien civilization that had once lived far across the galaxy. He felt a quiet respect for them. Laura joined him, holding a small tablet with the latest translated data. "They trusted us," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "And we have to honor that." Above the ocean, satellites detected a faint signal. It came from the alien ship, now dormant, broadcasting a message into deep space. The signal carried the same language, the same symbols, and perhaps a greeting for any civilization that might one day discover it. Hannah watched the data feed from the control center. "It's like they're announcing to the galaxy that we passed the first step." Jake smiled. "We're not just learning, we're being introduced." Ryan spoke from his post. "And we have to make sure we're worthy of it." Months turned into years. Humanity continued to advance. Conflicts did not disappear completely, but cooperation grew. The alien archive became a foundation, not a crutch. People understood the consequences of division and learned to solve problems together. Energy crises ended. Diseases began to disappear. Space programs reached farther than ever before. In the trenches of the Pacific, the alien ship remained silent, a guardian of knowledge, waiting for humanity to prove itself again. It no longer needed to test. Its purpose had been fulfilled. At the surface, Ethan looked out across the calm ocean, thinking of the first day the drone discovered the hull buried in sediment. He thought of the pulse, the doorway, the projections, and the choices humanity had made. Laura joined him, and together they watched the horizon. The ocean stretched endlessly, but now it felt different, full of promise, full of unknown possibilities. "Do you think they'll come back?" Laura asked. Ethan shook his head. "Maybe not, but they gave us a chance. That's more than enough." A soft signal pulsed through the research station. Not dangerous, not urgent. Just a reminder from the alien ship below. Humanity had passed the first threshold. Far above the ocean, satellites detected the faint broadcast traveling into the stars. For the first time, humanity was no longer waiting to be discovered. They were ready to announce themselves. And beneath the waves, the ship waited, watching, knowing that Earth had learned to rise together. The journey of humanity had only just begun. The test was over, but the future was theirs to shape. And for the first time, it seemed limitless. The world above had changed forever. The ocean below had kept its secret, but now it was a bridge to the stars. Ethan, Laura, Hannah, Jake, and Ryan looked out together, knowing that the legacy of this discovery would touch every life on the planet. And beyond it, humanity had inherited the wisdom of the stars, and the stars were watching back.